Hello, my name is Emmanuel and this is just the basics. So usually I do live info sessions. I have had a few requests, however, during those live info sessions, or for those who couldn't make it to the info sessions, to make them into videos, and I've done shorter video series. But in this one, I'm going to go over one of my older info sessions with a few updates, and hopefully you'll find it useful. Welcome to welcome to Chapter 1, and this is on mandatory insurances. The main question that I get from a lot of clients and a lot of friends is, am I paying too much for health insurance? And the answer is most likely yes. But that depends on your personal situation and what you're looking for and what you need. So we'll go over that now. So as an expat, you already know that health insurance is mandatory in Switzerland, but are you paying too much for it? There are 4 factors in deciding how much you pay in your premium. The first is age, second is residence, then is your franchise, and then lastly, it is the model. As far as age, 18 and under, 18 to 25, and 25 and over are the categories. With regards to age, you can't be denied because you're getting too old. They can't tack on some ridiculous extra premium cost because you're getting older. Mandatory insurance is just that, it's mandatory. The base level of insurance is covered no matter the age. The prices do vary with age, but in those 3 categories that I told you, so 18 and under, 18 to 25, and 25 and over. Your next factor is where you live, your canton. Now, the reason why that varies is because medical expenses, depending on the canton, are different. They're higher in some places and lower in some places. And in order for your insurance to cover whatever medical expense you have, it has to be higher or lower depending on the canton. Unless you have a time machine and somehow you can change your age, which if you can, please let me know because I'm down. Or unless you're willing to move to another canton in order to save a few bucks on your insurance premium, this is one of the first factors in your insurance premium that you will be able to affect, and that is the franchise. The franchise is the yearly amount that you will have to pay before insurance will just cover any expenses that come in. Usually this is set at 1,500 francs per year, well, depending on the insurer, depending on what you signed before. Typically it's 1,500 francs per year, but you can increase that to 2,500, or also depending on your insurer, how much you're allowed to lift the franchise. You can lift that up to 2,500 a year, which will lower your premium, but it will also increase the amount of money that you will have to pay out for medical expenses until insurance will just cover the full amount without having to worry about yourself still. And the last factor, and the other factor that you are able to affect, is the model. There are 4 different models. It's the HMO Light, the Telemed, and the House Arts. Now, they may be called something different for each insurer. You have, Call Med instead of Telemed, something like that, but they all do basically the same thing. House Arts is typically the most expensive, and Telemed is usually the cheapest. House Arts are for if you have like a certain doctor that you want to use that as your doctor, then you are allowed to use that doctor and it costs you more. Or you could use the Telemed model, which is basically you have to call a hotline before you're allowed to go to a doctor to get checked for whatever ails you. Now, that doesn't mean that you get your arm chopped off and now you can't go to the emergency room because you have to call a hotline to figure out if there's some kind of ibuprofen you can take. This is the hotline is for non-emergency medical scenarios. So you just have to call them if you have some kind of migraine or something, talk with them, and then they'll tell you where to go or give you a list of doctors that you can go see. Now, one thing that you have to be careful of is that mandatory health insurance is the mandatory part. It's the base, it's the basic. There's also Zusatzversicherung, or additional insurances that you can add to your base coverage that aren't mandatory, but you may want or may not want. So, as you're going through your insurance process and as you're looking through what you have in your insurance, decide whether or not that this model or this additional insurance, the Zusatzversicherung, is something that you need. So for example, I have a friend. She is a relatively high-ranking member in a very large bank in Switzerland. She is an expat that moved here, and when she moved here, she had an insurance advisor that signed her up for the mandatory health insurance. I looked at it very many years later. I think she's been here 5 or 6 years. And so I looked at it, many years later, and I noticed that she had a Zusatzversicherung for accident coverage. Now, her accident insurance, her accidents are covered by her employer. So she didn't need this extra bit of coverage, and it didn't really provide much more. It was basically a duplication of what the second pillar was providing for her already. So she had been spending an extra 60 francs a month in insurance coverage that she didn't need because it was already covered by her employer. Now, some of these additional insurances are something that you may want or that you may need. Some of them are not. However, be sure that you are getting exactly what you want. So thank you for watching. I hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. I'll leave my information on the screen and in the description below, and I hope to see you again.